Hello, hello, hello. So we are now on number 34. This is all about eating healthy. Now, I'm not a doctor, but you don't have to be a doctor. You just have to research what the researchers say. So, what I'm going to pull to you comes from a couple of main sources. The largest study in terms of nutrition and the effect of food and illness is called the China study. It's a study that one of the premiers of China got cancer, and he commissioned a study. Now, of course, it's not a lot of leeway in China. When the premier commissions a study, they make a study. This is a study of 850 million people. Now, I taught in university, so it's very funny when, people say, oh, well, 30% of what, 30 people in Kansas? That's not a study. That's a joke. But a study that looks at data of 850 million people, that's a serious study. And you can check out the China study. And there were American doctors that went and they actually looked at the data. And basically, the bottom line of this entire data boils down to this. If you eat fruits and vegetables, we'd call kind of a raw diet, foods that are as much as possible from the source, you will be healthy. And if you eat animal foods, you increase the chances of cancer. And the reason for that is because according to, I believe it, but according to the doctor, I forgot the name, you can check it out. The body is, and this is true, the body is always producing cancer cells, but the body is also killing those cancer cells. So when we eat animal products, what happens is there's a certain growth hormone that comes with it. It's like it tells the cells to grow. And so therefore those cancer cells start to grow also. So now imagine you're going to war against an enemy and I don't know, you have 100,000 soldiers and the enemy has 50,000 soldiers. So you're probably going to win. But with the enemy's soldiers growing, this is a very big problem. We don't want cancer to grow. We want it to die. And so therefore, according to this, you should eliminate all animal products. That's number one. Study number two, I'm quoting, is from Harvard. They have a very good website called Harvard Health. And what they do is they take their research. Some of their studies are 70 years. You know what a 70-year study of a couple 100,000 people? That's a serious study. And effectively, it's kind of the same stuff. Raw diets, as much as possible, fruits and vegetables. And what they say, which is really interesting, because there's another study, a Harvard study of a 10,000 person study, not as much, but they tried to figure out why it's well known that the Mediterranean diet keeps people living better than certainly the Western diet. And they wanted to isolate what is it in the Mediterranean diet that makes people healthier. And it turns out it's one thing. It's called fiber. 40% of your good health depends on fiber. And again, fruits and vegetables have fiber. Animal products don't have fiber. You want to make sure that at least 90% of the intake of your food is fibrous food. So, based on the Harvard studies, again, it parallels kind of quite. I don't think they spoke that negatively about animal products, but just some other studies that I've seen. So I'm going to pull it in here. You should not cook your animal products on high temperatures. It creates carcinogens. You should never, ever, ever barbecue because first of all, it's a high temperature. And second of all, the smoke is very bad, right? Smoke is a carcinogen. You should never, ever, ever have nitrate curated, meats, cold cuts. Um, and this is from a university, I think, in Spain. Huge, like 60% mortality rate for eating high processed foods. So, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who was very into preventative health or eating healthy, said, the more humans get involved in the food, the worse it becomes. And that's a fact. Processed foods are killers. They're high in sugar, they're high in fats. There's an Israeli study that your omega 3s should be about 1 to 4 to your omega 6s. Omega 3s are, I don't want to misquote, but certainly it's in fish, it's in chia seeds and flax seeds, I think somewhat in olive oil, and your omega 6s are pretty much almost all other oils. But the problem is that people are having 40 to 1, not 1 to 4. That's 10 times the amount they should be having. And that is very dangerous. Another important Israeli study that's actually brought down in the Talmud is that breakfast is very, very important. You have to have about 400 calories in breakfast. Talmud speaks about 30 different health benefits of breakfast. Breakfast is very important. It goes without saying, water. Water is very important, and we're not doing enough of that. Sleep. According to Rambam, according to medical science, Rambam was actually a great doctor, you need to have 8 hours of sleep a night. You should have 8 hours of sleep a night. Exercise. It goes without saying. Exercise, many studies. You're going to live longer with exercise. A friend of mine is a big researcher. When you exercise it releases certain, I don't want to say anything wrong, but some kind of DNA stuff, which this DNA stuff is very important. It tells the body different things that it has to do. So what is the definition of exercise? So I did a kind of a wellness protocol with my friend, Dr. Sokol, who's got 3 medical degrees. And effectively, he said, you have to at least dedicate half-hour a day to exercise. Ideally, it should be breaking a sweat. Ideally, you should get that heart rate up. But half-hour a day, so just like you put on tefillin every day, you got to dedicate half-hour a day. Just even something as simple as walking, I think 3 times a week for 15 minutes, gives a person another year of life. Today, another researcher told me, they say that, listen to this, sitting, right? A lot of us are sitting in front of computers. That is as dangerous as smoking. Now, there's very few things as dangerous as smoking, but leading a sedentary lifestyle, if nothing else, stand up. Just literally stand, because when you're standing, you're burning more calories. Your body is working. The body, quite simply, is a machine that needs to replace its parts, because effectively, how do you build muscle? You break muscle. By breaking muscle, because every time you lose a cell, you gain a cell. The body knows that it has to put a cell back where it lost the cell. But if you don't break those cells, what happens is you have the old, sick cells there. So exercising, even just standing, walking, whatever, these things literally get rid of the cells that you want to not have, and automatically you get new, healthier cells. So we've pretty much covered this very important subject, and suffice it to say, very large studies, including the Harvard study, saying 70% of major illnesses are preventable. We're talking 70% heart attack, stroke. You can prevent these illnesses by eating healthy. And so if I told you, I'm going to give you a diet that will save you, to the disaster that a person would have from a stroke, God forbid, it's unbelievable. I mean, these debilitating illnesses. I don't need to tell you what happens. The body is always getting better or getting sicker. It's just that simple. The body is getting better through healthier food, and it's getting sicker through unhealthier food. Now, You don't notice it. But again, it's like a war. If the enemy soldiers get stronger and stronger and stronger, before you know it, you have a big problem. And so it's very important. I think it was, I don't remember exactly, but maybe the Maggid that said, you have to have a healthy soul and a healthy body. It's just that simple. The Rambam, who was one of the greatest sages, one of the greatest doctors, said basically eating healthy, exercise, these things are mitzvahs. Keeping the body healthy is a mitzvah of God. He includes it in Jewish law. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe, one of our greatest sages, was very passionate about eating healthy, about preventative medicine. It's not the doctor's responsibility to heal you. It's your responsibility to heal you. The Rambam said, let no thing be cured through medicine if it can be cured through food. You have to use food to cure yourself. And God put in, as they write in the China study, in something like a tomato, in any kind of fruit and vegetable, there are hundreds of different compounds. And there are theories. I'm not trying to tell anyone not to take vitamins, but I heard this from a doctor who's a big researcher. There are theories that all these vitamins and stuff don't work. They have to work in the natural state because there are all these different compounds that are working together to make it work. And so let us be clever. And in summary, I want to give you a very simple diet that you can do. And it goes like this. Make sure that 80% of your intake is fruits and vegetables. The other 10% can be not, bread. There's a big researcher, a lot of people don't know about this, it's called a microbiome diet. A lot of people know about the microbiome, that we have gut, and inside the gut we have bacteria and all this kind of stuff. They call it a third brain. But there's certain things that feed the microbiome. And the microbiome is a very important part. And one of the great researchers, I think his name is Dr. Kellerman, he's actually an Orthodox Jew in Mount Sinai Hospital. Basically, he writes in his book that when you eat gluten, it opens up your gut and it allows, it's like kind of like leaky gut syndrome. It allows little particles to go out. And then the body attacks it, right? Those particles it sees as invaders. And then what does the body do? The body creates a counter defense. Bottom line, what happens is that it treats it as inflammation, or it causes inflammation. And inflammation is really bad for us. So we need to really be staying away from, as much as possible, gluten. But certainly any type of gluten that's processed gluten, that is literally like eating sugar. You're biting into sugar, because that's exactly how the body sees it. It will spike your blood sugar. It's totally unhealthy. So you have to stay away from potatoes. Sweet potatoes are okay, but regular potatoes, you have to stay away from bread. Ideally, stay away from all carbohydrates. These things spike your sugar, and everybody knows that high sugar levels is very bad for you. So what should you be taking the other 20% from? So you should have no more, I think this was according to China study, no more than a palmful of animal protein a day. You should be having a lot of olive oil. Olive oil is very, very important and helps the memory. It's very healthy. While we're speaking, another study shows how hot, like pepper, actually could add a year to your life. It's very healthy. And finally, if you're taking something like a whole grain bread, or certainly a health bread, based on other large studies like the Harvard study, they don't say there's anything wrong with that. And these are very seriously good studies. So good luck, because your life depends on it. Thank you.